Welcome to the Grow Your Practice podcast. Hi, I'm your host, Chad Madden, owner of Madden Physical Therapy and Breakthrough. Join me each week as we dive into the best practices, systems, principles, tips, and tricks to help you grow your private practice. Hey everybody, Chad Madden here with the Grow Your Practice podcast. And today we have two very special guests. Super excited for this topic. As everybody knows, right now, number one problem in private practice PT is finding DPTs. So today we're going to be talking about Rising Tide. And today with us on the podcast, I have first Shelley Menk. Correct pronunciation there, Shelley?
Yes, that's correct.
Shelley is a DPT student, entry level grad, out 1 year now, 2025 graduation. So welcome to the podcast here, Shelley.
Hi, thank you.
And we also have as Heidi Jannenga. Everybody knows Heidi from WebPT, but now Heidi's very involved in Rising Tide as well. And Heidi, this seems like a very important initiative to you. So yeah, how did you get involved in Rising Tide? How did you start this?
Well, thanks, Chad. Really appreciate you having us here. So Rising Tide is a nonprofit foundation that I started back in 2020. And I started it with an endowment just to set aside and try to do something with it. And in 2021, we launched it as a scholarship program specifically for students from underrepresented backgrounds who are first or second year DPT students, mainly because a few things. One, it's not super new that we have a shortage of PTs, right? This issue's been ongoing, but not only that, we have a shortage of diverse PTs. And we at WebPT had been doing the State of Rehab Therapy report for many, many years and asked these types of questions about, the diverse population, and the numbers just weren't changing. And so I decided to try to do something about that. And so the mission of Rising Tide is really to empower a new generation of physical therapy leaders who do hail from diverse and underrepresented backgrounds. And ultimately, it's about, improving patient access, about improving patient care. And for me, it's sort of just been deep rooted. And as I am now entering the back half of my career as a physical therapist, it's all about giving back and giving back to a profession that's giving me so much. And so Rising Tide exists because I just believe that bringing more diverse voices and lived experiences into the profession just strengthens the industry for everyone.
Love it. So within, you mentioned WebPT and also the state of report that you have done as long as I can remember, I think 14 years, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Pretty close, but and always enjoyed reading those. So you're very much known for advances in technology and innovation. For Rising Tide, was there a specific moment? You mentioned some of the broader statistics that you were looking at across the industry. Was there a specific moment that really sparked and gave rise to, pun intended, Rising Tide?
Well, honestly, the origin is sort of deeply personal. I am a mixed race individual. And so kind of always never sort of felt in alignment specifically with one group. I've always sort of said that I am sort of a chameleon. I'm able to fit into many, many different groups, which is a positive, but at the same time, you don't have a specific affinity with one particular group. And early on, that the experience of being, a student athlete really helped me to find sort of my tribe, if you will. And so as I became a physical therapist and got to, be treating patients, I really sort of noticed how, even the athletes, because I was a sport, when I practiced for the first 15 years of my career, I really focused on sports medicine. And so even in the athletic environment, athletes of diverse backgrounds would migrate towards those of us who also hailed from diverse backgrounds. And there's plenty of research out there that shows that, patients who see people that look like them or have similar backgrounds can really benefit and have better outcomes when they feel heard, when they feel comfortable, and that trust relationship gets built much faster than perhaps with someone who doesn't, have that similar background. And so, you know, as we look at where the industry is going, and yes, we are improving. We always used to talk about the 90% of patients who could benefit from physical therapy are not finding us, are not coming to us. And part of that, in my opinion, is that there are not a lot of diverse therapists. So you're missing out on a whole population of people that may not seek the care because they don't necessarily understand what physical therapy is. They don't have anybody in their family who's a physical therapist. And maybe they've never even been sent to see a PT. And if they did go to see a PT, they didn't see anybody that looked like them, right? And so all of these sort of factors came into play as I thought about what do I want to do with this endowment? What do I want to do with the rest of my career, and to try to give back and make a difference in an area. And man, has it been awesome over these last 5 years. And a testament to that is our special guest, Shelley Menk, who is actually one of our scholars, a residency scholar that received our Surge Scholarship last year, right, Shelley?
Yes, yes.
So Shelley, you're DPT, you graduated 2025. Can you talk through a little bit about your experience with Rising Tide and what it means for you as a DPT?
So I think for me, when I decided I wanted to go to pursue the residency, I immediately was thinking, trying to balance that with how I was going to be able to handle it financially, because we were going to take a pay cut within our household. So then my husband was going to have to try to find some way to balance that while I go to residency. And so that was a concern, and it would have been a potential stressor, as money can be in all aspects of life. It can be a stressor if you're trying to pursue something, and then also you're like, we're going to have enough money for that. And so I was trying to figure that out. And I heard about the scholarship through the University of New Mexico. They handed us a binder when you got accepted, and it contained a lot of the information about the scholarship. And so I learned about it and applied for it, and it ended up making it to where I feel like I could focus on my schoolwork. I could still pursue the continuing ed that I wanted to do, because I really wanted to take advantage of the time that I was in the residency and had mentors. So I really wanted to make sure I was able to take those pelvic health courses and be able to come back and ask my mentors questions. And it gave me that flexibility to do that. It also provided me with more mentorship and through the Rising Tide scholarship. And so now, like, Heidi's a mentor, and everyone that I got to meet, other people who are trying to pursue things in physical therapy, we're supporting each other. I text some of them and ask them questions when I have trouble with a patient and they have a different specialty. So it was very fruitful for me and helped me to be able to focus on my dream.
Great. So the one thing that you mentioned in there a few times, Shelley, was mentorship, and that you have multiple mentors. What does that look like? So if there are other, soon to be graduating DPTs, or maybe that just graduated, or future scholars, they can understand a little bit more what that mentorship looks like for them.
Yes. So when you receive a scholarship too, you're also a part of this community of other physical therapists who have also received the scholarship. And so there's some that are for specialty certifications, and then some for just the DPT programs. And so they link you together through a new app that they have too, that you can talk to each other. So they might partner you with someone who is interested in pelvic health. So like that's what I do. And so we help each other. And so my particular person that I'm paired with is currently thinking about considering pelvic health and doing her clinical rotation. And so she will ask me questions if she has any about things. And then also I met some people who are pursuing like the orthopedic specialty certification. And I ask them questions if I have someone with a sports related injury or something that I'm not used to seeing, and they will help me as well. And so we text each other. I sometimes use the app, but we really exchange phone numbers, and now we text each other and ask each other questions. And so you get that mentorship. And then they also set up meetings for us to get together where they have people who are successful in certain things get on and talk to you about certain topics, and you can ask them questions. And so all of that together helps you to grow each other.
That's great. So it's almost like you have a large mastermind of other clinicians who can help
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Perfect.
Well, it's a really good point that Shelley's making, in that we are not just check writers of the scholarship program. We wrap our scholars with a bunch of different resources. They're required to meet on a quarterly basis for a curriculum that we have for our scholars. And we're now actually going on year 6, Chad, which is crazy how fast this has gone by. So we've had 93 scholars now go through our program. I mean, we've deployed close to $2 million in scholarship funding. So this is not like a little trivial thing. Like, we're making such an important impact, I believe, not only on these scholars' lives, but the greater sort of industry as a whole. And for the last 3 years, we've had close to 500 applications come through for our 20 scholarship spots. And so initially it was like, oh yeah, we have these scholars. But all of these, the 480 that don't get selected, like, we didn't want to leave them, right? They have applied, they qualify. And so now we've really, and this is what the community aspect that Shelley was talking about is, and of course, I had to put in some technology. We have a community application in which we now are allowing our students to interact with each other as they graduate, become alumni, like they're coming back and giving back to the next sort of group of students. And not only that, but we've launched an Employer Connect program where employers can now have access to these amazing students who, if they're looking for students in rural areas or in areas that they may not have access to these types of students in their normal sort of pathways of recruitment. They're coming in and wanting to connect with our students as well. And so we have what Shelley talked about, a mentorship program where we're connecting, specialists in certain areas that want to sort of participate in our community. So there's so many entry pathways, and the community is growing. I think we have for our scholars we represent 54 different DPT programs across the country of scholars who are scholarship winners from these different universities across the country. So it's a national program. Our reach is continuing to grow every year, but man, I couldn't be prouder. And obviously Shelley's just a great representation of the level and caliber of DPTs out there that are going to get a spotlight shined on them because we have the means and the access to be able to do it.
Yeah, you're doing a great thing. This is a great initiative. Rising. So in Rising Tide, it's spelled Rizing. Is there a reason for that spelling?
Well, the name came about because one of my, sort of favorite mantras of all time is a rising tide raises all boats.
Yeah.
And it's sort of the premise of Rising Tide as a whole. And you're going to laugh, Chad, because it was a simple URL issue in that I could not get the domain name Rising Tide. It was already taken, the regular spelling. Yeah. And so I just played around with the words, and RIZ kind of stood out to me because it sounds like it should be a Z anyway.
Yeah.
And so it became risingtide.org, and risingtide.com happened to be available. And so that's the origin story of the Z.
That's great. I love that.
And now we can't spell it without a Z. I spell rise with a Z all the time now instead of an S. It looks awkward with the S.
Yeah, I think it looks great. So the one thing that you mentioned was 500 applicants for roughly 93 scholarships. Can you go
Yeah.
through the
20,
mechanism?
20 scholarship. We've given 93 over the last 5 years.
Okay, so it's 500 applicants a year
Yes.
for 20. Okay, so can you go through a little bit, either the qualifications of like how unique and special a scholar is, because obviously, Shelley, you're like the top of the top, and then also what the mechanism looks like, perhaps from the practice owner's end. And how are you? So how are you selecting your scholars, and then also how are you, um, using the endowment? How's it a win-win for everybody? Because it seems like it's a win-win for the practice, for the graduating DPT, going through the residency, et cetera.
Yeah, so we have two processes a year. We have a cross scholarship, which is a merit-based scholarship specifically for first, incoming DPT students, first year DPT students, or rising second year. So any of those folks qualify for our cross scholarship. And that's where we're getting the high numbers, as you can imagine, right? It's a national, anyone from any accredited program who hails from an underrepresented racial or ethnic heritage can apply for the scholarship. They have to have a 3.2 GPA. And then there's essays that they have to write in the application. And then we practice owners, we have 40 screeners because as you can imagine, it's a lot of applications to go through. We reach out to the community every year to ask for folks that want to volunteer their time to help in the screening process. And so we go through a rigorous sort of screener process to make sure they understand, try to keep out bias. We have a very clear rubric on how they score these applications. But they get about, 5 to 10 applications to review and then score them. And then if they get 10, two of their finalists get to go, or two of their 10 get to go on to be finalists. And so on average, we get about 75 to 80 into the finalist group. We have about 40 screeners that participate every year. Not every year. We have new ones that come in every year. So if anybody's interested, feel free to reach out for next year.
How do they do that?
They can just reach out via our website. There's a interest list or interest page, and you can put in your information and we'll get back to you ASAP. And it's, by the way, the website is rising, RIZING -tide.com. And I'm sure we can put that in the show notes.
We will have that in the show notes. Yeah.
And so then those 80 finalists go on to the interview round. And so every one of those finalists get an interview with our beachcombers, which is our screening committee. And our screening committee have been with us since the inception. So we love our screening committee. They are pillars of the industry, and some from outside the industry as well. But they go through an interview, and then from that 80, we select the 20 winners for the year.
Great.
And that's a 2-month process, right? Like it's rigorous. So Shelley is actually part of our Surge scholarship. So that's our crest. That's the DPT scholarship. And then we also offer a residency scholarship. And the residency scholars, we go through towards the end of the year. It's a little smaller process. Obviously, there's not as many people going through residency programs across the U.S., so we don't get the volume per se, but it's still an extremely rigorous process. And we usually pick 3, but in the last couple of years, we've moved it up to 5 because, man, it's just really hard to say no because there's so many amazing people that come through and that we get to know. But these are significant scholarships, right? So the CREST scholarship is $14,000 a year, renewable for up to 2 years. So a total of $42,000 in scholarship financial aid. That's for 10. And then we have our rising stars, which we call them, which are worth up to $15,000. So $5,000 a year, up to 2 more years of renewal. So $15,000 total in scholarship funding. And then what Shelley received in our surge scholarship for residency students, it's 10,000 for 1 year of their residency program. So these are significant dollars. These are difference makers in terms of financial support for these students.
Great. Shelley, question for you. And this is, on behalf of all the listeners, this is a selfish question. So as a practice owner, and can you tell other practice owners, what is the next generation of physical therapists? What are you looking for as you get started in the profession? And I understand, the residency, the continuing education, the support that Rising Tide has given you. I understand that. Is there anything else that you're looking for as you're growing and developing as a DPT?
So I think my primary thing when I'm looking for or choosing an employer is it really goes back to the support, which is kind of funny because that's what I got through Rising Tide. But I feel like I want to be seen as more than a number, just like a patient wants to be seen as more than a number. And so when I go to interviews, I'm looking for that, supporting my growth. And I think a lot of new grads look for that as well. They're coming out on fire and they don't know where they want to go. They want to feel supported in their growth. And so any employer that makes me feel that way is usually one that I'm very focused on, that they see me as a person, they care about my skill set, they care about growing it. And one example of that would be like my favorite employer, whenever we would do performance reviews, he would ask us every year how we were going to grow in the field that year and what were our goals. And he would help you set them. And if someone had a skill that you desired to have, he would say, who's good at that? Katie, I'm going to get you with Katie. You guys are going to work on that. And we're going to help you grow that skill. And then he would hold you accountable at the same time. So the next year he would ask you that again. But that's like seeing me as a person, not just, hey, this is your productivity this right now, this quarter, and how can we get your productivity up? That makes me feel like a number. And so I don't mind talking about that, but I do want to feel seen by my employer. And he would make us feel seen by acknowledging the person with the skill, pairing you with the person with the skill, which is very familiar to Rising Tide, right? It's the same thing. I'm pairing you with someone with the skill. We're acknowledging the people with the skills and putting them together. And I took that job with less pay, less sign-on bonus because of that thing in itself, because I felt like I was seen and that he was going to help me grow. And that's what I wanted. And I stayed there for a long time. I loved it. He's my favorite employer. It's really good at being supportive. After that, I think new grads are trying to pay their student loans. So maybe they want to also have a good salary. But I think subconsciously, we all want to feel like you're more than a number and you want to feel like you're noticed. And so that would be my number one. Yeah.
Is there a number two?
Is there a number two?
Go ahead, Heidi.
Well, I think she said it, right? The competitive compensation is definitely a number two, I would say, with student loans at the height that where they are today. But what she just said, I wish you need to, I don't know, keep replaying that part of it, because I think so many owners overemphasize salary as their primary concern. And we found this out in our state of rehab therapy report, also in the data that WebPT does. They over-index on just wanting to throw money at people, and that's not feasible in our reimbursement place that we are, right? It's not feasible. And so these other sort of, great culture and not having a lot of bureaucracy and trying to get something done and having these relationships, and even if you're a small practice with, only 1 or 2 providers, like having, other network of other providers that someone could talk to about, a specialty or, something that they are going through is super helpful. And I don't know, like everybody talks about burnout. And part of the burnout, I think, is exactly what Shelley is talking to. No, everybody feels like a number. The number one thing we have to talk about is productivity and administrative burden. and how do I get my EMR work done, and all of those things are super important to get paid, right? Um, and but having it shared in a more mentoring way, meaning understanding and contributing and understanding why is productivity so important, how much are you making per patient, like all of the sort of business side of PT that we don't necessarily love, but is really important part of it. It is also part of the mentorship. I think that, students need to understand because they're not really getting that in school. And so they come out and they think that they should be making a crap load of money, but they don't actually necessarily understand the whole claim cycle, revenue cycle of how we actually get paid for our services. And not only that, but the overhead costs that it costs. Shelley is figuring that out right now because you'll be happy to know, Chad, she's starting her own practice right now.
Congratulations to you. That's great.
Thank you. I'm very
Yeah.
excited.
Tell us more about that. What are you going to do?
So I'm starting my own practice. It's called Active Pelvic Health. I really feel like in pelvic health, there from the start when I applied, that's what I wrote my essay about, was that I want to reach the athletic population. And there's a lot of symptoms that they experience that they don't talk about. And I feel like pelvic health is often seen as like an aging population thing. But actually, there are a lot of women in sports that are experiencing pelvic health symptoms. There are males that are experiencing those symptoms and at younger ages. And so my specialty here is going to be trying to reach that population. And it's going to stand out with the other ones because a lot of them do a lot of postpartum and have their own focuses. And so I'm going for athletes and trying to give them a place to get treatment and be able to talk about it, really make it normal.
Good for you. I can tell you from experience, the need is large.
Yes,
And
I know.
only because we do it as well. Yeah, you'll do great. I want to circle back to you, Heidi, about the CREST scholarship and the others. I know you have a deadline coming up for applications. So if either a entry level DPT is listening, or if an owner or another listener knows somebody who might be a potential scholar, what is the deadline? How would they apply? Like, what does that process look like also? Great. And just to clarify, because I know I'm going to get both text, LinkedIn direct messages, and also emails about this, when you're saying first and second year, you mean after graduation for the applicants, or is this students? When do they apply? Yep. Yep. Perfect. I'm playing dumb for a reason, but yes, thank you for clarifying that it's not an entry level DPT. This is while they're going. The scholarship is while they're going through the DPT program. Perfect. Cool. So I've heard at least two different ways that practice owners can be involved. The first one is reviewing the applicants. The second one is the Employer Connect program that you can get through the Rising Tide website. Is there anything else that an owner should be aware of as they're listening to this for involvement? Great. Trick question for you here. Shelley is opening her own practice. Are there other scholars that have gone through that? And is there any connection for her to help her on her entrepreneurial journey as a practice owner? Love it. Heidi, I'm going to ask you some questions about WebPT. I would feel that would be amiss if I wouldn't ask about that, based on who you are within the industry and everything that you've done with all the innovation there as well. What's new at WebPT? What do you have in the pipeline within the next year that you're allowed to talk about? Yeah, what's on the horizon? It's great. And again, the best way to do that is through Rising with a Z, RIZING dash tide.com. Yeah. Yeah. And so we'll have both links in there, or all the links mentioned. And likely we'll link out to the state of rehab report that you do as well. In closing, I just want to clarify this because I think we can do something great for Shelley. If you are a pelvic floor therapist and practice owner, and you're looking to mentor an amazing young DPT as she's opening up, what is the best way to connect that pelvic floor practice owner with Shelley? Is it through the Rising Tide website? How should they do that? What's the best way to contact you? Right. And well, can we at least spell Shelley for everybody as they're looking on LinkedIn? Shelley, and Menk is Menk. Awesome.
Active pelvic health.
Wonderful. And when's the official open date, or has that happened already?
I think we'll be finished by June 1st. We have a bunch of stuff that arrived, a lot of assembly to do, so we're getting everything together in the clinic. But I'm shooting for June 1st.
You'll do great.
Yes, so happy to be here.
That's great. Love it. Well, you're both doing great things. Very much appreciate you both being on the Grow Your Practice podcast here, and keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Chad.